President Barry Jagdeo believes that fear of being targeted by the body politic may have prevented the Integrity Commission from acting on the submissions of declarations by public figures.
Today marks 1 year since the Lusignan massacre in which 11 persons, including 5 children, died.
And today also marks the beginning of a new year for China, and its ambassador to Guyana says he is confident that the cordial relations between the two countries will continue.
And of course, we will bring you the latest sporting action in the Diamond Mineral Water and NCN Sport News. Good evening, I'm Delisa Fletcher.
And I'm Paul Moore.
With this edition of the 6 o'clock news for today, Monday, January 26, 2009. Here's what's happening. Paul.
Thanks, Delisa. President Barry Jagdeo says fear of being targeted by the body politic may have prevented the Integrity Commission from acting on the submissions of declarations by public figures. The president also expressed disappointment at what he termed disparaging statements by the opposition about the religious members on the commission. Here's more.
You could have difficulties with the commissioners. You may have concerns about the legality of the commissioners being there. But there is a permanent mechanism. There is a secretariat. There is a secretary to the commission, secretary CEO to the commission. And there is the requirement of the law of Guyana that you submit your declarations.
The answer to the opposition's question as to the legality of the Commission of Integrity. Nevertheless, fresh consultations to resuscitate that commission are to start soon, said Mr. Jagdeo at a press conference this afternoon. In the meantime, the president reiterated his disappointment at the opposition's refusal to make their declarations.
And I'm very disappointed that rather than taking the time to make themselves right in accordance with the laws of Guyana, that is to correct the breach that many members of parliament have committed, they have gone on a PR offensive and have been making excuses not to comply with the laws of our country.
The president believes that fear of being victimized may have prevented the Integrity Commission from acting sooner, prompting his issuance of a 2-week ultimatum, a time frame which may be extended for a few days.
I want to remove any excuse that the commissioners, the opposition leaders have. So I may look at probably extending it for a few days further. But clearly, this should not be my call. It should be your call, the people of the country.
Mr. Jagdeo was also asked about the resignation of Bishop Randolph George as chairman of the commission. And again, he expressed his view of members being intimidated by the body politic. The declaration of the assets by public officials is not only limited to members of parliament, but President Jagdeo thought that this was the best place to start.
The lives lost may never be forgotten, and those who live to tell the story now see life as sacred. Today is 1 year since gunmen killed 11 persons and wounded several others in what is commonly known as the Lusignan massacre. Mark Murray visited the community today.
Rondell Rollins, already one of Guyana's most wanted men, began his last 8 months of murderous dominance early January of 2008 when his pregnant girlfriend, Tanisha Morgan, mysteriously disappeared. This led to him issuing a threat of a reign of terror if she was not returned safely, a promise he kept, and around 23 hours on January 25, heavily armed men opened fire at the police headquarters, Ifleri. About 3 hours later, on January 26, 11 persons, including 5 children, were murdered by gunmen while they were asleep in their Lusignan East Coast Demerara homes. Government immediately issued its strong commitment to support the security forces in their efforts to bring down the criminal gang by increased subvention. This was accompanied by all forms of support for the affected families and even more enabling legislation to better equip the security forces. The Joint Special Operations Group, JSOG, dedicated to go after criminal gangs, was also established and was feverishly pursuing the Fine Man gang, who accepted responsibility for the killing. But events took a turn for the worst when the nation was hit with another shock with the February 17 massacre at Bartica, which left 12 persons, including 3 policemen, dead at the hands of criminals. However, this did not deter government and the security forces as they maintained their optimism of capturing the criminals. The hunt intensified as JSOG was spread across the country with aerial help with a helicopter loaned to Guyana by the Trinidad authorities. But hopes were running thin after 3 months of searching for the gang, but with no success until June 6, when ranks of JSOG came under fire at Goat Farm, Christmas Falls, in the Berbice River from gunmen. They returned fire, killing Otis Fifi, a member of the Rawlins gang, and unearthed a number of items, including a diary belonging to Rawlins, reportedly with details of the 2 massacres and plans for another. This had given the lawmen some hopes of success until it was dashed on June 21 when George Arokium, a miner, turned up at his Lindo Creek Berbice River camp and found his 8-member crew dead and their bodies burnt beyond recognition. But shortly after, the security forces shot and killed 2 other members of the Rawlins gang, while others were arrested. Members of the Rawlins support network began to be closed in on, and the effective dismantling of the gang became evident. In the height of the Rawlins search, high-profile murder accuser Jeremy Skinny Charles escaped from the police at Sparendam on June 25 and was suspected to have rejoined the gang. As tension was building among citizens, the security forces 2 months later hit the jackpot when a shootout ensued on the Susdike-Linden Highway between the joint services and gunmen, which resulted in the death of Rawlins and Charles. This had closed the final chapter in the Rawlins reign, as the remaining members of his gang are either dead or behind bars. Though not able to compensate for the lives lost, the lawmen by this managed to secure some respect that has seen the ravages of crime reduced significantly since. Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
That was Edward Lane report, where you heard of the significant successes of the security forces in dismantling the criminal gangs in Guyana following the Lusiknan massacre last year. Chinese ambassador to Guyana Zhang Zhonggao says he's confident that the cordial relations between Guyana and China will continue as China starts the new year. The ambassador expressed these sentiments at a recent event held to usher in the Chinese New Year, also known as the Spring Festival, which starts today. Mr. Zhang reminisced on the relationship shared in 2008, making specific reference to the signing of several agreements for economic and technical cooperation. This Chinese lunar calendar is the year of the ox, which is seen as an important part of the Chinese household life. It is unswervingly patient, tireless in its work, and capable of enduring any amount of hardship. So in the Chinese culture, the ox is the sign of prosperity through fortitude and hard work, and the symbol of fortune.